Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again. Here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for The Walking Dead. This week we got to see The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 2, Infected. Okay, and as always, my reviews do contain spoilers, so for anyone who's not seen The Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 2, Infected yet, you may or may not want to watch this, but again, UK viewers and everybody like that, just search around Google enough, you can find it. There's lots of websites that have it. You can stream and check out the episodes. So, coming off of The Walking Dead Season 4 premiere, most people I think were happy with the season 4 premiere. There was a few that seemed to be disappointed. Did a video talking about that, did a video reviewing the premiere, and just to rehash, I thought it was a pretty damn good premiere and a great episode. This week's episode I had kind of high hopes for. Was thinking that a lot of new developments were going to take place, and I wasn't thinking that the story was going to be so centralized at the prison. Now, we did know that the cell block D was going to be invaded by walkers. What I didn't think, though, is that they were going to come from inside the cell block. Of course, in the premiere, we saw that Patrick, died due to some kind of flu or something of the sort, and thus he would become a walker himself. But I didn't think that he'd be just him turning into a walker would be able to take down so many people in that cell block. We don't have an exact body count at this time, but Herschel has said in one of the trailers that they've lost 12 of their own. So I'm assuming that's from next week. So probably, 2 in the premiere. They lost 2 people in the premiere, and then of course the rest. So maybe about 10 people in cell block D would have been killed by walkers. In terms of the walker attack, this episode for me is one where the trailers and the amount of trailers that they put out for it kind of detract from the episode, because we've seen so many of the different events in this episode. I mean, when you think about it, they showed us most of what happened in this episode in different previews and in different trailers for Season 4. I mean, I'm talking even in the summertime when we saw the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, a lot of the scenes from that were in this. Some of the other promos, all of the action sequences pretty much were shown in trailers or promos previously. And if most of you guys, and I think you are like me, we've watched them all, we've seen them all already, which does, I would say, detract from the episode itself, because you've already seen all of these scenes maybe at least once over in a trailer, or maybe twice. Like me, I've seen every one probably 2 or 3 times. So even though it's a new episode and it's cool to see it in an episode, sometimes trailers do work against things, and I think that is the case with this episode, because we already saw most of the action sequences in those trailers. So that's all I'll say about that. So the threat comes from inside the group in the cell block D. I thought it was interesting that they all sleep with their cell doors open. Like, wouldn't you want to close your cell door just in case something goes wrong? And well, obviously they didn't. They felt they were secure inside, so they decided not to. None of them had their doors closed there. But then in addition to that, Patrick's walker was actually pretty sneaky. Maybe a little too sneaky, because it's like, you'd think there'd be some noise. I mean, he's like a silent assassin zombie. He comes in and he real quiet, and Karen, first you think it's going to be Karen, and then it doesn't end up being her, and then he gets some guy that we don't know from Woodbury, I would assume, who didn't seem familiar to me. I don't think I've ever seen him before. Maybe in the premiere, but I don't really recall. He's just sort of like an extra kind of in the series. So he gets bitten on the neck, and he doesn't even scream, or yell or fight back or anything. Pretty sneaky walker, Patrick was. And he almost got Glenn too, of course, with the save from Daryl with a crossbow. That was good. But it was just, I don't know, it was a little strange to me that that would happen, and he would be in there all night eating this dude, and nobody would hear it, and nobody would pay enough attention to notice. That to me is a little like, really, with that, really, I don't know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. It doesn't really matter, but just saying, that's a little strange. So we had that. We had the cool walkers in D, Glenn running down, Rick running in. Some good walker kills. Zombie kill of the week? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to say for this one. I may have to go with Daryl's running back, saving the kid, crossbow fadeaway, crossbow shot. Oh, it was a pretty good one. I mean, that's a hard shot to hit. If you guys play basketball, you do a fadeaway. You know how hard it is to aim when you're going away from something. It just messes up your whole accuracy and everything. So that was a cool one. Also from the trailer, Glenn's as he runs up and he does the underhanded, slice with a machete to the one near the steps. That one was cool too. So probably either of those I think would be, probably the best zombie kills of this week. Aside from that, with all the events that take place in Cell Block D, they sort of are finding out about the infection. Bob was there. We know he was a medic in the army before. And then some other random guy who looked like he was, Indian or something of the sort. We don't know anything, we've never seen him before, but he's like providing exposition. He's like explaining what he's seeing, and kind of letting him know that it came from something to do with the lungs, and maybe it's some kind of flu or something of the sort. And really, they have almost no clue. There's no way for them to figure out what it is. So it's probably one of those that we'll just know that it is killing a few of them. We'll see a few of them die off as a result of it, but we will never really know where it came from or what. Rick knew that one of the pigs was ill and he lost it. They talked a little bit about after they ate, so maybe one of the things that Daryl brought back, one of the animals that they ate, because we know Patrick ate it. He thanked Daryl for bringing back the deer, I think he said, yeah. And then they said Charles or Charlie, same thing happened to him. So maybe it wasn't the water after all. Maybe it was the whatever they were eating was somehow infected with something due to, I don't know, somehow this infection is spread, and we probably never will have that much information about it or know exactly what it is. Then we see Karen, not Carol, Karen, and she's coughing, and she says David, I believe, may be sick as well too. So they put them into cell block, what was it, A? Cell block A, death row. And of course the big reveal at the end of the episode when Tyrese goes to check on her and bring her flowers, finds out that she's dead. Blood, being dragged somehow out and then burned her and I assume David as well too. So now we know from the trailer, there's been a lot of speculation over since we saw the San Diego Comic-Con trailer over who it is that Tyrese sees. I thought it was Sasha at first, but that's because we didn't know that Tyrese was in a relationship with Karen, which I thought was illustrated pretty good in the short amount of time they've had to show us it. It was especially the scene at the beginning of the episode when we see him and her, and it shows that he cares about her. He's singing to her and all that. So it was good stuff. That's one thing I have to say about this episode is that there seemed to be a lot of emotion in it. With that, him losing her, great acting by the actor who plays Tyrese, Chad, and just a lot of emotion overall, emotional responses from the character. You've got Michonne, and she's crying with baby Judy, which was also interesting too. It's like, why, is she reacting in that way? Did she lose her own baby? Maybe we don't know about that. In the comic books, I don't think she ever did have a child, so maybe the television series version is different, or maybe she did and we just don't know about it. She never talks about it. Or maybe it's just her, allowing herself to become more human and embrace the baby and all that kind of stuff, which was, it was a good scene too. I liked that one too, and I liked all the emotion in the episode, because Season 3, if there's one thing Season 3 lacked, even though it had some really great action sequences, and the Daryl Merle thing was really emotional, and so same with Lori too. A lot of the episodes, because there's so much action, we lacked emotional ties to the characters. And I really feel like this one did a good job of showing this, putting that emotion back into the series and making us care about these characters, at least the new ones, some of the new ones. That we haven't spent as much time with. I feel like they did a really good job with. In addition, you've got Rick with the pigs. That was strangely emotional because what he's doing, he's feeding them to the walkers to get them off the fence, and it's like he's raised them, he's brought them up, everything like that, and then he's doing this, and that's a weird sequence to watch that. It's very emotional, even though they're just pigs. It's like I don't know. Maybe it's the acting or the sound or the way they put it together, but it is, and I thought that was a really interesting scene, kind of emotionally depressing almost that he feels he has to do that. And he makes that decision to do that. So, but they don't know where this flu is coming from. So it would make sense that he would want to douse the whole thing, just get rid of it, because it's a possibility that it could have come from the pigs, maybe. Because did they eat the sick pig? That's something we don't really know if they did eat the one that was sick from before. Could be, or if Rick didn't feed it to them, we don't really know. So kind of hard to say with regards to that. But that was a really strangely emotional scene of him feeding the pigs to the walkers to get them off the fence. In addition, the scene with the walkers on the fence pushing it down, I thought that was pretty exciting too. And so, a good mix of emotion with and character development with all the new characters, and in addition to that, some pretty good action, but it is detracted because we've seen most of it in the trailers, which is what I want to say, which I think some people may be disappointed with the episode because they showed us so much earlier on. Now to see it again, we've already seen it all before, it's not really as exciting as completely new content that we've never seen. So those are pretty much my thoughts on the whole episode. Let's see. Interesting developments with Lizzie and is it Mika? I think her sister. Their dad, was it Ryan? Yeah, Ryan. Of course, dies, and Carol has to put him down. Lizzie's not able to, which is understandable. I thought it was funny when Carol's calling her weak, and saying that. And it's funny that her sister knows that she's not weak; she's just messed up. So I think that's an interesting angle, that maybe those two will be like Ben and his brother in the comic book series, in which Ben is nuts and Carl ends up having to put him down in the comic book series. So we'll see what happens with Lizzie and how crazy she is. She's got a knife now, we know that. And we'll see what happens with her. Maybe she was the one to put down Karen and David, and somehow, because they wouldn't expect it. If she had that knife in her pocket or something, she went to see them and they're sick, and then she just pulled out the knife and just started stabbing, they wouldn't expect it. And if she's that crazy and got that much pent up aggression at the world, you could definitely see her to be the one who did that with Karen and David. Speaking of which, I'll probably do a video later this week on some predictions and talk about who it could have been who did that to them, and see what Tyrese, he's going to be nuts, is going to want to do with them afterwards. So I guess we'll see what happens with that, and I'm intrigued by Lizzie because she's so twisted and deranged. So that's interesting. That's a good development. I really like that from the new characters. She's one of the ones to watch, I think. Her and Tyrese, of course, from this season, definitely a couple to watch. And also that Carol is supposed to be their sort of replacement mother for them. That'll be good stuff as well to see, too. Okay, and probably the last two key things I want to mention from the episode. One is that it was cool to see Beth taking care of Judy. That was interesting because we haven't really seen that too much this season. This is the first time we've actually got to see some scenes with her and the baby at the same time. And it also kind of gives her character a purpose, too, that she's taking care of Rick's baby, since, of course, Laurie's not there and can't, and someone needs to do it. So, that was good stuff as well. And the very last thing really I want to mention, even though there were some other events that happened, but in my reviews, I'm not technically going to go through every single scene, and I'll be here for an hour if I do that. So really, I look for the key things to take from it and move on to the next week's episode. So the final one, and the biggest, of course, is the thing with Tyrese and losing Karen and David as well. Not that we know if he had any kind of relationship with David, but obviously with Karen, that's going to rip him up, tear him apart. And finding out what happened to her, who did that to her. It looks like from the preview, just to mention briefly, because I'll do a whole video on this, but maybe Sasha in the preview for next week did that, because it would seem like, now it could be Lizzie, yeah, it is possible, because she did take the knife, but it doesn't entirely seem that way, because only the people that really knew what they were doing with him were the ones that were there in the hallway when they were discussing it. Karen was there, Tyrese was there, Sasha was there, Herschel, and wasn't Glenn there too, and maybe Daryl, I think, and Carol. All of them were there. So you would think that it's probably going to be one of them in that immediate group that knew what they were doing and went ahead with it. But it looks like it could be Sasha from the preview, because it just kind of looks like she's, I don't know, for some reason to me it gives me that sense that could be what's happening. So I think that's probably the most interesting development of this week is who did that, what's going to happen with Lizzie, and go forward pretty much from there. So a pretty damn good episode this week. I think probably season 3, episode 2 with the prisoners was probably a more exciting episode. This episode, it mixed in, it's kind of like I look at it as like, so it's sort of like a combination between the feel of season 2 and the feel of season 3. We're getting more emotion, we're getting more character development like from season 2, more centered around the camp and the people inside it and what's happening with them and the walkers, versus an external enemy or villain such as the prisoners or the governor from season 3, and sort of getting to see how difficult it is just for these characters to survive on their own without any kind of human external enemy threat, because right now there isn't. The governor's not attacking, nothing like this is happening, it doesn't seem to be responsible, so it's kind of interesting to see how difficult it is for them to survive even without that. You've got characters dying like crazy, they lose 10 of their own, all of these things. So it was a pretty good episode. In terms of a score, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's about that. Average would be 6.5, so it's a good episode, but I don't think it's the best episode of The Walking Dead we've seen. I definitely think there was better episodes in season 3, and even some of the season 2 ones as well too. But we have a lot of new characters, and we have to feel invested in them. We have to get to know them, and we have to emotionally feel for them. And I think this episode did a great job of setting up those ties for us, the viewer, emotionally to characters even more than we had before. Michonne with the crying, Lizzie and her sister with their dad, Rick with just simply the pigs, and of course Tyrese, what happened with him at the end of the episode. So this one will be an 8 out of 10 for me. And one other thing I forgot to mention was who's feeding the walkers. That's interesting too, who would be doing it. A lot of us think it's probably Lizzie, but the hand looks like a male Caucasian hand. It doesn't look like a little girl or African American, so it wouldn't be like Bob or anything like that. So maybe another character in the group that we don't know of, or it could still be Lizzie. I guess it depends. I'd have to look at that scene in particular a little bit more. So lots of interesting new developments, lots of new emotional ties and scenes for the characters, and let me know what you guys felt about this week's episode. Did you think it was weak? Did you think it was not that great? I tend to think that some people may be disappointed just because of the things I've mentioned, but I wasn't. I enjoyed it, and we do need episodes like this so that we feel for those characters. Because if you're just killing characters that we don't know, this is a good example. Look at the character deaths in Cell Block D. Most of them were like, who cares? We don't know you anyway. But now that we're getting to know some of the new characters, if they do die, we are going to care about that, and we're going to be like, damn, this person died, or Merle, or whoever. They definitely have to be fleshed out, and we have to feel emotionally for them in order for us to get that impact from the bigger episodes later on. So in terms of that, this was a great episode. Anyway, I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. Oh, by the way, the predictions video for next week will probably be up within a day or two. I'll probably film that in a couple hours and post it tomorrow or the next day. So for those of you who are looking for that, check tomorrow or the next day. It should be up. Predictions for next week's episode, when I think will happen. I'll call it here. That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, and I'm saying peace.